I'm standing in our family kitchen when Mom drops the bomb. You're cut off, Rachel. For good. Her new husband Trent doesn't even look up from his coffee. My stomach twists into knots. I open my mouth to speak, but she turns her back on me like I'm already invisible. The trust fund Dad left me gone. My college money vanished. Everything I thought was secure just disappeared with 5 cold words. I blink hard, trying to process what's happening. This can't be real. But the satisfied smirk on Trent's face tells me it is. Mom walks out of the kitchen without another word, her heels clicking against the marble floor. I stand there frozen, my hands shaking at my sides. They have no idea what I know. They have no idea what's hidden upstairs in that safe. And that's exactly where this story really begins. 'Cause I've been watching. I've been waiting. And I'm about to turn their entire world upside down. Before we continue, I would like to know where you're watching from in the comment section. Also hit the subscribe button and share this video, as this will help this video to travel far so others can learn also. Let me take you back to who I used to be. I was the golden child, straight A student, honor roll every semester, never gave my parents a single reason to worry. Dad called me his pride and joy. Mom used to brag about me at every dinner party. I had plans, college, career, the whole future mapped out. Then Dad got sick. Cancer took him fast, way too fast. 6 months from diagnosis to funeral. I was 17, barely holding myself together at his graveside. Mom cried at the funeral, but something felt off about her tears. They seemed practiced, like she'd rehearsed them. 3 months after we buried Dad, she started going out more, getting her hair done, wearing brighter lipstick. Then Trent appeared. She called him an old friend who was helping her through grief. But I saw the way they looked at each other. I wasn't stupid. 6 months after Dad's funeral, Trent moved in. And everything I knew about my mother vanished with him. The first thing they took was Dad's car. A vintage Mustang he'd restored himself over 10 years. He promised it would be mine when I graduated high school. I had the key on my keychain right next to my house key. One Saturday morning, I walked into the garage and it was gone. Just an empty oil stain where it used to sit. I ran inside, heart pounding. Mom, where's Dad's car? She didn't even look away from her phone. Trent sold it. We needed the money. My chest tightened. Needed the money. We lived in a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs. But Dad promised. Trent cut me off. Your dad's not here anymore. I make the decisions now. I found out later through Facebook. Some stranger posted photos of himself with my car, thanking the generous seller for such a great deal. I still had that key. I stared at it that night, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. That was the first thing they took from me. It wasn't the last. 2 months later, I came home from school and something felt wrong. The living room looked different. I walked in slowly, then froze. There was a new family portrait hanging above the fireplace. Professional, expensive looking. Mom stood in the center wearing a cream dress. Trent beside her in a navy suit. His 2 kids, Emma and Dylan, flanking them with perfect smiles. I wasn't in it. I stepped closer, my reflection ghostly in the glass frame. I counted the faces again, thinking maybe I missed myself somehow. But no. 5 people. And none of them were me. Mom walked in behind me. Oh, you noticed. Beautiful, isn't it? Her voice was too bright, too casual. I turned to her, throat tight. Where am I? She waved her hand dismissively. You were at school when we scheduled it. Don't be dramatic. But her eyes flickered with something. Guilt maybe, or satisfaction. I watched her touch Emma's shoulder later that evening. My mini-me, she cooed. Emma wasn't even her daughter. It was. But apparently not anymore. My 18th birthday fell on a Thursday. I woke up expecting at least a card on the kitchen counter. Maybe Mom's famous chocolate chip pancakes like she used to make. Instead, the kitchen was empty. No card. No cake. No pancakes. I texted her. Hey, want to do dinner tonight? She replied 3 hours later. Can't. Busy. Maybe this weekend. That night, I sat in my room doing homework, trying not to cry. Then I heard laughing downstairs. Lots of voices. Music. I crept to the staircase and peeked down. The dining room was decorated with balloons and streamers. A huge cake sat on the table. Everyone was singing happy birthday to Dylan, Trent's son. He just graduated from community college. They threw him a whole party. On my birthday, I went back to my room, quietly closed the door, and ate a grocery store cupcake I'd bought myself that afternoon. Alone. In the dark. That's when something shifted inside me. That's when I stopped being sad and started getting smart. I remembered the estate files Dad had left me, locked in his old office. And that night I decided to read every single page. Dad's files were thick, organized, detailed. He'd been a planner, always thinking ahead. I found the trust documents tucked in a brown folder marked Rachel's Future. My hands shook as I read. $480,000. Set aside specifically for my education and living expenses until I turned 30. My father had worked his entire life to build that security for me. The terms were crystal clear. Mom was temporary executor until I turned 21, then full control transferred to me. But according to these papers, the account should still be full. I logged into the estate portal using Dad's old passwords. He'd written them down for me before he got too sick. My stomach dropped. Account balance. $3,847. Almost $500,000. Gone. I called the estate lawyer whose name was on the documents. Mr. Garrison sounded ancient over the phone. Rachel. I remember you. Sweet kid. I explained everything. Long silence. Then, if that money's gone and you didn't authorize it, your mother broke the terms. That's actionable. I hung up, hands trembling. They didn't just take my money. They stole my future. I started watching Trent more carefully. He wore expensive suits every day. Armani, Hugo Boss, brands I recognized from Dad's old wardrobe. He drove a new BMW. Took Mom on weekend trips to wine country. But something didn't add up. I never saw him leave for work. He was always home, always lounging by the pool or watching sports. I started digging. County records are public information. Anyone can access them online. I searched his name. Employment history showed his last job ended 7 years ago. 7 years. No recent tax returns filed under any business name. No LLC. No consulting firm. Nothing. This man was living like a king on someone else's money. My money. Then I found property records. He'd lost his previous house to foreclosure 3 years before meeting Mom. Bankruptcy filed twice. The picture became crystal clear. Trent was broke. Everything they had, the lifestyle, the cars, the trips, was funded by Dad's estate. My inheritance was paying for Trent's entire existence. And Mom had lied to the court about all of it. I made a decision. I would become invisible. Quiet. Exactly what they expected from a heartbroken teenager. I stopped arguing. Stopped asking questions. When they made plans without me, I smiled and said, "That's okay." When Trent gave me orders like I was his servant, I nodded politely. They thought they'd broken me. They thought I'd accepted my new place in their reconstructed family. Perfect. Let them think that. I moved back home fully after staying at my friend's house for a week. "I'm sorry for being difficult," I told Mom. "I just miss Dad." Her face softened. The first genuine expression I'd seen in months. "I know, sweetheart. We all do." Liar. But I hugged her anyway. That night I couldn't sleep. I heard footsteps at 2 in the morning. I crept to my door and peeked out. Mom was walking toward the master bedroom office, dressed in her robe. She looked around cautiously, then disappeared inside. I heard the distinct sound of a safe door opening. My pulse quickened. She was hiding something, and I was going to find out what. I knew that safe. Dad had installed it years ago. I remembered the day clearly. I was 12, sitting on the office floor doing homework while he drilled it into the wall. "Rachel, come here," he'd called. He made me memorize the combination. "Just in case," he said. "You never know." The numbers were burned into my brain. September 14th, 73. Mom's birthday. Dad always said she was the key to everything. Ironic now. A week after I heard her late-night visit, I waited until they left for Dylan's college orientation. The house fell silent. I slipped into the office, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might burst. The safe was behind a painting of a lighthouse, Dad's favorite spot on the coast. I lifted the frame carefully, revealing the metal door and digital keypad. My fingers hovered over the numbers. What if he changed it? What if I was wrong? I punched in September 14th, 73. The lock clicked. Green light. The door swung open. Inside sat a black leather binder with my name printed on the spine in gold letters. I pulled it out with shaking hands. The binder was heavy, stuffed with documents. I carried it to my room and locked the door behind me. My hands trembled as I opened the first page. Bank statements, dozens of them. Highlighted transactions showing transfers from the trust account, my trust account, to Mom and Trent's joint checking. 50,000 here, 30,000 there, over and over. Monthly withdrawals that violated every clause of the trust terms. But it got worse. There were letters. Official correspondence from lawyers I'd never heard of. Legal memos discussing estate irregularities. And then I found them. Copies of checks with Dad's signature. Except Dad had been dead for 2 years when these were dated. She'd forged his signature. Multiple times. My vision blurred with angry tears. How could she do this? How could my own mother steal from me and lie so easily? I kept flipping pages, barely breathing. Then I found an envelope tucked in the back pocket. My name written in Dad's handwriting. Dated 1 week before he died. The letter Mom never gave me. My hands shook so badly I could barely open the envelope. Dad's handwriting covered 2 pages. Messy, urgent, like he'd written it in a hurry. My dearest Rachel, it began. If you're reading this, I'm gone. And if your mother gave this to you, she's proven me wrong about her. But I don't think she will. I pressed the letter to my chest, tears streaming down my face. I need you to watch your mother carefully. I've seen changes in her lately. Secrecy, distance, financial questions that worry me. I've tried to protect you by setting up the trust with strict terms, but I fear she'll find ways around them. If anything seems wrong, contact Douglas Brennan. He's a lawyer I trust completely. He'll help you. He'd underlined Douglas's name 3 times. Then the final line gutted me. You are stronger than you know. Don't let anyone make you small. I love you forever. Dad, I sobbed into my pillow, clutching that letter like a lifeline. He'd known. Somehow he'd known. And he'd tried to protect me even from beyond the grave. I found Douglas Brennan's contact information online. Still practicing law in the same downtown office. I called the next morning, my voice shaky. My name is Rachel Thompson. My father was James Thompson. He told me to contact you. Silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. Rachel. My God. I've been hoping you'd call. We met that afternoon at a coffee shop. Douglas was older, maybe 60, with kind eyes and a firm handshake. Your father was a good man. When he died and Evelyn took over as executor, I tried to contest it. She had lawyers shut me down. I showed him the binder. Every page. Every forged signature. Every illegal transfer. His expression grew darker with each document. Finally he looked up. This is fraud. Clear, prosecutable fraud. My heart raced. Can we get the money back? He nodded slowly. We can do more than that. We can reopen the entire estate, remove her as executor, and restore the trust. But we'll need to move carefully. She has resources now, your resources. I leaned forward. Tell me what to do. Douglas laid out the strategy. Gather more evidence, document everything, and most importantly, don't let them know I was building a case. So I became the perfect grateful daughter. I smiled at breakfast. I thanked Trent when he gave me chores. I even bought him a Father's Day card that made me want to vomit. Thanks for stepping up. He actually teared up reading it. Mom hugged me. "I'm so glad you're adjusting, sweetie." I wanted to scream the truth at her. Instead, I nodded. "I just want us to be a family." All while secretly meeting with Douglas twice a week. We built a timeline of every illegal transaction. I recorded conversations where Mom casually mentioned moving money around. I photographed documents when she left her laptop open. And I did something else, something they'd never expect. I pulled my transcripts and applied to transfer to a university 3 hours away. Full scholarship. They knew nothing about it. Let them think I was staying close, staying small. I was planning my escape. "They think you've given up," Douglas said during one meeting. Smiled. "I'm just getting started." Things started cracking. I noticed Trent on his phone more, voice tight and low. One evening I walked past his office and heard him arguing with someone. "I told you I'd have it by Friday. Just give me a few more days." Long pause. "I know what I owe. Stop calling me." I pressed my ear closer to the door. "There's money in the account. Can access it. Just..." "No, Evelyn doesn't need to know about this." My blood ran cold. He was gambling again. Douglas had run a background check. Trent had a history of gambling debts and loan shark problems. That's probably why he went bankrupt before. I texted Douglas immediately. "He's draining what's left." Douglas responded within minutes. "On it." 2 days later, Douglas filed an emergency motion citing suspected financial abuse and continued estate violations. The judge granted a temporary freeze on the trust account. Trent couldn't touch another penny. I was home when he got the notice. The screaming started immediately. "What do you mean frozen? Who did this?" Mom's voice was shrill with panic. "They can't just freeze our money." Our money. She really believed that. Mom's perfect mask started slipping in public. We went to her usual Sunday brunch spot with her wealthy friends, women in designer sunglasses and Hermes scarves. Everything was fine until the waitress accidentally spilled water near Mom's purse. "Are you incompetent?" Mom's voice cut across the restaurant. "This purse costs more than you make in a month." The waitress went pale. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. Let me. Just get away from me. Where's your manager?" Everyone at nearby tables stared. Mom's friends exchanged uncomfortable glances. Her face was red, a vein pulsing in her temple. This wasn't the composed, graceful woman she pretended to be. This was who she really was. Cruel, entitled, vicious. After the waitress scurried away in tears, Mom tried to laugh it off. Can't find good service anywhere these days. But her friends looked disturbed. As we left, one of them, a stylish woman named Elaine, quietly pressed a business card into my hand. Eyes met. "Call me," she whispered. "I knew your father." My pulse quickened. I nodded slightly and slipped the card into my pocket. I called Elaine that night from my car. She answered on the first ring. "Rachel." Thank God. I've been waiting for the right moment. We met at her office the next day. She was a CPA. Apparently Dad's accountant for over a decade. "Your father trusted me completely," she said. "When he got sick, he came to me worried about your mother's spending habits. He restructured everything to protect you." She pulled out a thick file. "After he died, Evelyn fired me immediately. But I kept copies of everything because something felt wrong." She spread documents across her desk. "Your mother never filed a final estate report with the court. That's legally required within 1 year of death. She ignored it, probably because the numbers wouldn't match her story." My eyes widened. "Is that illegal?" Elaine nodded firmly. "Completely. It's grounds for removal and potential criminal charges." She handed me a folder. "This is everything you need. Account records, unfiled reports, correspondence where she lied to the court about asset distribution. With this and what you already have, you can sue for full control." I hugged the folder to my chest. Douglas had the evidence. Now I had the weapon. Thanksgiving morning arrived cold and gray. Mom was in the kitchen preparing her famous turkey, acting like everything was perfect. Trent lounged in the living room watching football. Emma and Dylan were coming over later. The ideal blended family holiday. I walked into the kitchen holding a manila envelope. "Mom, this is for you." She wiped her hands on her apron, smiling. "What is it, honey?" I handed it to her. She opened it casually, probably expecting some sentimental letter. Her smile vanished. The blood drained from her face. What is this?" "A lawsuit. You're being sued for fraudulent estate management, forgery, and theft. You have 14 days to respond in court." Her hands shook. The papers slipped from her fingers. Trent rushed in. "What's going on?" I looked him dead in the eye. "Your name too. For accepting stolen funds and financial exploitation." His face went from confusion to rage in seconds. He grabbed a glass from the counter and hurled it across the room. It shattered against the wall, inches from my head. I didn't flinch. "See you in court," I said calmly and walked out. The court hearing happened 2 weeks later. Douglas sat beside me at the plaintiff's table, calm and prepared. Mom and Trent had hired some expensive lawyer who looked nervous shuffling through papers. The judge was a stern woman in her 60s. She read through our filing carefully. "Ms. Thompson, you're alleging extensive fraud." Douglas stood. "Yes, Your Honor. We have documented proof." He presented everything. The binder, the forged signatures, the unfiled estate reports, Elaine's accounting records, the illegal transfers. Every piece of evidence laid out like dominoes falling. Mom's lawyer tried to argue. My client was acting in good faith as executor. Any irregularities were criminal, the judge interrupted sharply. "I'm looking at forged documents dated after the deceased's death. That's not an irregularity. That's fraud." Mom's face was white. She gripped the table edge like she might collapse. Then Douglas dropped the final bomb. "Your Honor, we've also located the deceased's actual final will." He presented a certified copy. James Thompson removed Evelyn Thompson as executor completely in this will, executed 6 days before his death. She submitted an earlier version to the court and buried this one. The courtroom went silent. The judge's eyes narrowed. "Is this true?" Mom's lawyer stammered. We weren't aware." The judge's gavel came down. "Executor authority is hereby revoked immediately." The judge didn't waste time. "Given the evidence of fraud, forgery, and willful violation of estate terms, I'm removing Evelyn Thompson as executor and trustee effective immediately. Rachel Thompson, as the rightful beneficiary and heir, is granted full control of the estate and all associated accounts." Mom made a sound, something between a gasp and a sob. She actually collapsed into her chair, speechless for the first time in years. The judge continued. "Additionally, I'm ordering a full forensic audit of all transactions. Any funds improperly distributed must be returned, with interest. If Mrs. Thompson and Mr. Harrington cannot return the funds, asset seizure will commence." Trent's face was purple with rage, but he said nothing. What could he say? We had everything documented. Douglas leaned over. "She'll have to sell things to pay you back. Jewelry, cars, maybe even the house." I felt a strange emptiness. I thought I'd feel triumphant in this moment, victorious. But I just felt tired. My own mother had stolen from me, lied to me, tried to erase me from my own father's legacy. And for what? Money. Status. A con man in expensive suits. 2 days after the court victory, I made a phone call. Douglas had suggested it. A quiet tip to the IRS about unreported income and suspicious tax filings under Trent's name. Turns out, when you live beyond your means with no legitimate income source, the government gets curious. The audit notice arrived at their house within a week. I wasn't there, but Emma told me later. Mom opened the envelope and started crying. "They're auditing us. Everything." 7 years back. Trent had gone silent, which was worse than his usual raging. He knew what they'd find. Unreported money, false claims, a paper trail of fraud. The IRS doesn't play games. Within 2 weeks, their joint accounts were frozen pending investigation. Every credit card, every bank account locked down. Mom called me for the first time since the lawsuit. "Rachel, please. We have no access to money. We can't even buy groceries." Her voice was desperate, broken. I could have felt sorry for her. But I remembered the birthday she forgot. Trust she stole. The father's car she sold. "You should have thought of that before you forged Dad's signature," I said quietly and hung up. The house, my family home, sat at the center of everything. 4 bedrooms, 2 acres, bought by Dad 20 years ago. I'd always assumed it was in both my parents' names. Douglas pulled the deed. "It's solely in your father's name." He never added Evelyn. My heart raced. What does that mean? It means the house is estate property. And since you're the sole heir according to his valid will, it reverts to you. I owned the house. The home Mom had redecorated to erase me, filled with Trent's things and new family portraits. Douglas prepared the paperwork. I had every legal right to claim it. Mom and Trent received the eviction notice on a gray Monday morning. 30 days to vacate. I was there when Mom read it. She looked at me with something I'd never seen in her eyes before. Fear. "You're kicking us out." "It's not your house, Mom. It never was." "But where will we go?" Thought about that. Thought about the tiny apartment I'd been living in since leaving. Thought about the birthday cupcake. The missing portrait. The stolen money. "I don't know," I said honestly. "But you have 30 days to figure it out." Moving day came. I stood in the doorway watching them pack boxes and suitcases. Emma and Dylan helped, both avoiding eye contact with me. Trent refused to look in my direction at all. His jaw clenched tight. Mom moved slowly, mechanically, like a robot. She packed photos. The family portrait without me, her wedding album with Trent. She didn't pack any pictures of Dad. Those were still in my room, where I'd hidden them. As they loaded the last boxes into a U-Haul truck, Mom paused on the porch. She looked at me, mouth opening like she wanted to say something. But no words came out. What could she say? Sorry. That wouldn't give me back 2 years of emotional abuse. It wouldn't return the $500,000 she stole. It wouldn't bring back Dad. Trent climbed into the truck's driver's seat, engine roaring to life. Emma and Dylan got into their car. Mom stood there another moment, then turned and walked away. I watched them drive down the street until they disappeared. The house fell silent. I thought I'd feel triumph, victory, satisfaction, revenge. But I just felt free. Like a weight I didn't know I was carrying had finally lifted. Then I noticed it. An envelope on my bed. I picked up the envelope carefully. My name was written on the front in neat handwriting. Not Mom's, not Trent's. I opened it slowly. Inside was a single photograph. Me and Dad at my 10th birthday party. Both of us laughing, covered in chocolate cake. I remembered that day so clearly. He'd surprised me with a puppy I'd wanted for years. We were so happy. I flipped the photo over. On the back, written in the same neat handwriting, "She never deserved you." My breath caught. Who left this? I looked around my room like the answer might appear. Then I remembered Elaine, Dad's accountant. She'd been at the house during the move, dropping off final estate documents. She must have slipped in while everyone was distracted. I held the photo to my chest, tears streaming down my face. Not sad tears. Relief. Validation. Someone else saw the truth. Someone else knew what Mom had done. I found a frame in Dad's old office and carefully placed the photo inside. It sat on my desk now, a reminder of who really loved me, who really protected me. The real inheritance wasn't money. It was knowing Dad never stopped fighting for me. Douglas called me into his office one final time. "I have something for you," he said, sliding a folder across his desk. "Your father set up an additional account 5 years before he died. Completely separate from the trust. Offshore, in your name only." I opened the folder slowly. Account statements showed a balance of $180,000. Untouched, protected, growing. He never told your mother about this account. It was his emergency backup plan for you. Smart man. My hands shook reading Dad's handwritten note attached. For Rachel's true future. No matter what happens. I burst into tears right there in Douglas's office. He handed me tissues and waited quietly. After years of feeling erased, forgotten, stolen from, my father had left me this final gift. Proof that he always saw me, always protected me, always loved me exactly as I was. There's no one who can touch this money, Douglas said gently. It's completely yours. He made sure of that. I wiped my eyes and smiled. The first real smile in 2 years. He really did think of everything. That's what good fathers do. Now I live in my own apartment across town. 2 bedrooms, bright windows, space that's entirely mine. College is paid for. Full ride through scholarships and what's left of the properly managed trust fund. I'm studying law, inspired by Douglas and driven by my own experience. I want to help people like me, people who've been cheated by the ones who should protect them. I go to therapy once a week. That helps more than I expected. Working through anger, betrayal, grief. All the tangled emotions of having a mother who chose money over her own daughter. Some days are hard. Some days I'm angry all over again. But most days I'm just at peace. Mom tried to contact me twice. Once through Emma. Once through a long email that I deleted without reading. I don't hate her. I just have nothing left to give her. She made her choices. Made mine. The house is being renovated. Fresh paint, new furniture. Dad's things carefully preserved. When it's done, I'm turning it into a group home for foster kids aging out of the system. Kids who need a place to belong, to feel safe, to rebuild. Dad would have loved that. I sit in my apartment now. That photograph of me and Dad on my desk. Sunlight streaming through the windows. She wanted to cut me off, erase me, make me disappear. But I was the only real thing in that house. And now, I'm finally home.